Most people can't begin to fathom the nature of these crimes, or why anybody would commit them. It truly beggars belief. While preparing for his role in Sound of Freedom, Jim Caviezel had to consult with experts, because the truth about what's happening to children around the world was more disturbing than he ever imagined.
Major problem we have is that we don't have enough theaters. And so that's why we've been telling people, God, you got to get out and buy tickets like you did on The Passion, because you created a way for us. So imagine if you're in a hydroplane speedboat and you see a wall coming. We need people to tear that thing down or we're going to go right into it.
Well, when you talk about the evil here involved in human trafficking,
Yeah.
In the sex slavery of children.
Yes.
And it's the kind of thing that beggars the imagination. You can barely understand how people would do something like this.
No, I understand it. I had to understand what they were thinking. I had to understand. I started from both ends: corruption, why power, why seduced to people do pretty much anything for a big major power at one end, whether it be honeypotted or what. On the other end, you got people starting with. So I worked with Tim, but Tim is very busy going on. But I had guys that helped me to understand the psychology. Or you're starting older with pornography, and you just keep going younger and younger and younger. I said, well, why would a man be interested in a unformed woman? He says it's the innocent, it's a demonic thing that they're this innocent child, and it becomes more attractive to them.
Caviezel gets close to explaining it when he says it's a demonic thing, but Laura Logan says it best.
Because one of the things I asked him is, I said, I get it, but I don't get it. The children, you got to, I have such a problem with this. You got to explain this one to me. And he said, well, first of all, you're looking at it the wrong way. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, they don't define children the way you do. They don't define the world the way you do. The choices that you face are not their choices. Right? They look at it completely differently. And I said, well, okay, so how do they look at it? And he said, for them, everything is defined by their one fundamental, all-consuming purpose. I said, which is what? He said, to defeat God, right? Because this is the moment. I mean, for them, it's about the real God. The true gods are them. And Satan, there, right? And so he said, children are the closest thing on earth to God, because we are created in the image of God. And as from the moment we're created, we haven't had time to be corrupted and to stray. So for them, the younger you are, the closer you are to God, the more pain they can inflict on God. So the more you can make a baby or a small child suffer, the greater your victory over God. And that is the only consideration for them.
RFK Jr., in his role as Secretary of Health and Human Services, just dropped another bombshell. Under the Biden administration, HHS wasn't just mismanaged. It was, in his words, the primary vector for child sex trafficking and slavery in the United States. See how it's all starting to circle together? The very agency meant to protect health and human services was weaponized to play its part in a government operation to exploit the most innocent and vulnerable.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. And we have ended funding for gender mutilation, surgeries, and other kind of gender dysphoria.
It's all connected. And now, RFK Jr. is pulling back the curtain, exposing the tangled web of corruption and control, laying bare the New World Order's crimes against children for the entire world to see. As Laura Logan explains, the media are complicit in the cover-up.
And when it comes, Politico, USA Today, I mean, a gazillion mainstream outlets, including the report that you showed, have talked about the blood of young children being the secret to anti-aging. And why does nobody ask, where does blood come from? How do you get the blood of young children? And does it matter if the children are younger and younger and younger? So now are you talking about the blood of babies now? Is that what you're talking about? No, we're fine doing articles that say, use the blood of young children to reverse aging. Or Yuval Noah Harari believes in transhumanism and that we will ascend to be gods and that most of the planet will be useless eaters and we don't need. But wait a minute, no journalist follows up and says, whose blood? Where do you get it? How much does it take? And how do you get the blood of babies? Or to Yuval Noah Harari, wait a minute, you're talking about genocide.
Lara Logan, an award-winning investigative journalist, was cancelled by the mainstream media for speaking out on this issue. To those who support this, you should do some research into the Dutroux affair in Europe. The details of this disturbing episode will fill you in on all you need to know about the global elite. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact. If the Dutroux affair isn't enough to convince you, then do some research into the Franklin scandal, or the nursery scandal in California in the 80s, or Marina Abramovich and spirit cooking, or the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, which is still being covered up to this day. The list goes on and on. Again, I ask you, what did Lara Logan say that wasn't true? And what happened to the kids in Haiti? The media didn't always shut down discussion about drinking the blood of children. In the 1800s, it was permissible. The McKay Mercury and South Kennedy Advertiser reported that Cincinnati had its blood drinkers, just like New York City. The journalist, who obviously sampled a taste of blood himself, wrote that it tasted like the richest cream, warm with a tart sweetness, and the strength of a pure wine. It was a draught, simply delicious, sweeter than any concoction of the chemist, the confectioner, the winemaker. He said, before suggesting that it was the occasional indulgence in the draught of human blood that caused the cruelties of certain Roman emperors. Are we really to believe that people in the 1800s in America were drinking children's blood? The British royal family had been consuming human flesh for centuries, and Roman emperors were indulging in the occasional draught of human blood. But the global elite in today's world do not partake. There are statues all over Europe, hundreds of years old, depicting the act. This is the child eater of Bern, a stone's throw away from the headquarters of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elite, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and family about us, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. We can't do it without you. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content